I am actually, let's do this. Stop. Anybody in there? No. I am in the process of, whoopsies. I am in the process of recording some YouTube videos, long form videos for YouTube. And I figured I would record this live that shows like a behind the scenes of the recording process when I am setting up and recording. So first I'll show you for recording, whoopsies. For recording on my phone, I use this tripod. It's great because it's magnetic. So the phone just like plops on, sticks off. Right here, I have my tripod set up. So I have my camera set up along with a mic. And I also have the mic here. So then that way I have good audio when I'm recording my audio. Today I'm going over mics and the different types of mics, what you use them for. So as you can see, I have my mics laid out there. My computer has an outline of what I'll be discussing. So I have that set up. So that is my basic setup for when I am going to make a YouTube video. So now I'm going to put you guys on the stand and then I'm going to start recording. So hopefully I'm in frame. Doing this all one woman show. So there is that. So now I'm going to hit record on the other. If you have a Apple Watch, it comes in handy, but mine is dead. So I'll hit record over here and slide into place. All of my settings set up. Make sure that it gets my lighting. All right, so now I'm ready to start recording. So I make sure I have my script pulled up over here, so then it's easy for me to know like what I'm gonna say. Really just have an outline with talking points, so then that way it's easier to be more flexible when speaking. So first, starting on the first video, it's always good to like batch record, so then that way you're not stuck with like doing all the setup and putting all the work in for one video. So if you batch record, you can end up recording 4 or 5 videos at once. So then you only have to do the setup once, but you get 5 videos out of that work that you did. So my first video, it's gonna go over the essentials for essential camera gear for everyday beginner video, or the essential camera gear for every beginner videographer needs. So, so, do you want videos that'll help your, messed up. Want videos that stand out? First, you need to start out with essential gear. So there's every essential needs that every videographer needs. Now, when I say your gear, it doesn't have to be top of the line, high-end gear. It can be something simple and just knowing how to use what you already have. So today I'm going to tell you about what essential gear is best for beginner videographers. So we've got that section. It recorded good, so I'm going to chop it and put the next part in. So it's easier to break it down, like your edit, your intro, then if you put the next part they're going to be recording, so on. So then that way if you break it into chunks and trying to get, instead of getting one perfect recording session, which never done that before. Okay, so first, I'm going to talk about 3 points. Camera, stabilization, lighting. In this video, I'm going to tell you about 3 main points of having beginner camera gear. In this video, I'm going to tell you about 3 main points of beginner videographer gear or video production gear. First, I'm going to talk about cameras, like what is a good camera to start out with. Next, I'm going to talk about stabilization, because that's an important part of making sure your videos are nice and stable. And third, I will talk about lighting and audio, and then finally, different types of editing software. So first, let's talk about camera. I know everybody always wants to have the top of the line cameras, but when you're starting out, that's not always best. There was a class that I took a long time ago where somebody talked about yeah, you can have an expensive camera, but if you don't know how to use it, then it's not really any good value to you. So really, it's not the camera that you're using, it's what's behind the camera. So I would say first start out by learning how to use your phone. If you have your phone settings just right, you'd be amazed with the quality of video that you can come out with using your phone. I have shot with I have a Canon mirrorless R camera, and then sometimes I shoot with my phone. Once I didn't feel like pulling out my camera to fill in 1 or 2 scenes in a video that I was doing, and the person couldn't even tell that I was using my camera on some of those shots. They thought it was my phone. The main thing is when you're using your camera, you want to always clean your lens before you start recording. So it's crucial, clean your lens. If it looks like there's a fog or a haze over what you're recording, chances are it's a fingerprint on your lens. So that's the number one thing. Even when I'm out and somebody asks me, like a random stranger, can you take a picture of us? I always clean their lens first because 9 times out of 10 I see a big fingerprint on the lens. So that's the first thing. Clean your lens whenever you're using your camera. And then don't zoom. Instead of zooming in, walk closer to your subject. If you move closer, then you're not going to have a distorted video and it'll be like more clear, more sharp. So those are the main 2 things when using your phone. If you're starting out to use that to film gear or film things, you want to make sure that you move your body closer to what you're shooting, clean your lens. It's going to improve your video 1,000 times, 1,000%. So those are the 2 recommendations with using your phone. Once you like get a feel for it, you see that you like it with your camera or your phone, you can bump up to the next step, which would be getting a camera, which my personal preference, I'm a Canon girl, so I have the R, I love it. I also use the Rebels every now and then sometimes I'll use the 80D. So those are like the cameras that I have in my arsenal that I go back and forth with. The R is like my everyday camera with a 50mm lens. I love that lens. So that's just like starting out. So to wrap it up with camera, you don't need to go out and buy an expensive camera. You can just use your phone. And you want to remember to always clean your lens, and instead of zooming, move closer to what it is that you are shooting. So now that we've talked about the camera, let's move on to stabilization. So now that we've talked about the camera, let's move on to stabilization. So stabilization is just a complicated word of saying tripod. So there are many tripods out there. I'll list in the link below a couple of different tripods that work great. If you're looking for a tripod for video, it's going to be different than a tripod for photography. So a tripod for video, you want to make sure it has like a pan and tilt, because you want to get a clean, smooth transition or a motion shot. You're going to want the pan and the tilt on your tripod, so then you can just move your tripod. Usually photography cameras do not have that, so that's something you want to look at. But let's say that you are not in the boat where you can get a tripod yet. So something easy to do, stack a couple of books and put your camera or your phone against the books. That creates a simple, steady shot. So again, you want to, and this is like the beginner's guide, eventually you can start buying pieces of equipment as you move up, but this is just a beginner's guide, simple intro into video. So find something and then just prop your phone, prop your camera up against it, and then you have a stable shot, because there's nothing worse than feeling like you're on a roller coaster when you're watching a video. So simple form, if you don't have a tripod or you can't get a tripod, just find something to stick your camera on. Plenty of things out there. I've stuck mine on a water bottle, I've stuck it on a refrigerator, I have complicated, hold my phone in my mouth to get like an overhead shot. You can get creative with it, but you just want to make sure that you're not shaking the camera. So now that we've covered stabilization, the next thing that we're going to go over is lighting and sound. So lighting is important. As you can see right now, I'm just using natural light around me. Well, you can't see because you can't see behind the scenes, but I just found a well-lit room and I'm using the lighting around me. I do have artificial lights that I use, which I'll go into that further in another video, but for now, like, natural lighting is the easiest. If you get in front of a window, 9 times out of 10, it's going to give you the best lighting that you could use because it's diffused through the window and it lights you evenly. So you want to make sure that you have good lighting in your video because you want to make sure people can see your face. And then sound, there's different types of mics. Your camera on your phone automatically has a mic. So if you can't afford to go out and get a mic, that's the best to start. The next step up would be a wired lavalier mic or a wired lav mic. So it's just basically a little mic that you would pin on your clothes or whoever is going to be doing the talking. You hook, it has a long wire. You hook the other end into your phone because you can get these for your phone, which this one, I have the adapter that goes, plugs in here and then it plugs into your phone. Or they have the adapter for if you're using it with a camera. So these are very like basic entry level where it's easy to record clean audio that's a step above just using your phone. But you can always use your phone. You just want to make sure you pick good quiet area. As you can see, there's like no other noise going on right now. So you want to be aware of that. So the last thing I'm going to cover, or now that I've talked about the lighting and sound, I'm going to cover the editing software. So there's many different types of editing software out there. I know if I'm shooting for social media, then I'm shooting with my phone 9 times out of 10. And if I'm doing that, I like to edit on my phone. Adobe is like a big one that people use, but there's also Premiere Cut. No, I combine two. There's Final Cut, I think it's Final Cut on Apple. Then you have DaVinci that is on, you can get that online and it's completely free. On my phone, I have started using InShot. I used to use CapCut all the time, but with their new terms and conditions, I have moved away from there. So I'm working on InShot. I actually like that one if you just need some clear, clean cuts, putting stuff together. And then I also edit inside the social media platform that I am creating the videos for. So if I'm editing videos for Instagram, then I'm editing inside their platform. I've edited inside TikTok's platform. YouTube, I edit inside theirs. So there's different platforms where you can edit. The main thing with editing software is I would say you need to be flexible and make sure that you're always ready to learn new things. Because if you get stuck in one type of software, it's not going to be easy for you to be flexible. And like I know they say like the industry standard is Adobe, but the main thing is that may be what one place is used, but another may use Final Cut. So it's better for you to be versed and know a bunch of different types of editing software and be able to pick up on how to use it. So then that way, no matter if you're going to get a job, no matter where you go, it'll be easy for you to find a spot to work. So today, I'm gonna wrap up whatever we covered, or everything that we covered. Today we went over just some of the beginning, Today we went over some of the beginning gear today we went over the gear for beginner videographers. Can't get that right. Today we went over some gear for beginner videographer needs. Today we went over some of the needs for beginner videographers. First we covered camera. You don't always need to go get the most high-tech camera. The main thing is to learn to use what you have. When you learn how to set the functions of what you have, you're gonna do great. Then we covered stabilization. You don't want shaky videos, so you wanna get a tripod. If you can't go out and buy a tripod, find something to prop your camera on, and that works great. Then third, we went over lighting and microphone. Again, you wanna make sure that you have, if you're not ready to buy lights, you can just get in front of a window, find a bright spot, use that, and then just make sure you're close enough to your phone or whatever your camera you're recording with. You want to make sure that the volume or there's no other noise around. And last, we went with editing software. So different places that you can edit your videos once you start recording them. Now, I said this was like a gear package, but this was basically how you can start recording today without buying a single thing. Because I give you options of just using what you have. So you don't have to go out and buy everything to start. The main thing is you have to come up with a great story and you have to just do it. So I hope this helps with getting somebody to just start creating their own content. I can't wait to see what kind of stories that you have. And if there's anything else that you have interest in, just let me know. Thank you. All right, so there's probably nobody in my live, but if you are in my live, I just finished one video. So now that we finished one video, we're gonna move on to the next one. No, nobody's in the live. So we finished one video, now it's time to move on to the next video. First, I'm gonna look over what it is that is the video. So the next video is going to be how to start audio recording for beginners. So I will record that. Like I said, it's easier to just record a whole bunch of videos at once instead of just setting all this up to record one. So now let's get to this one. Hard part is just starting. Once you get started and once you get going, you feel like really good and you want to just keep going. All right, so now it's time to hit record again. Really need to find my microphone or find my remotes and get those set up. All right, and I have the camera set to find my face. So the lighting adjusts on my camera that I showed you in the beginning of this. So you want to record good audio, but you don't know where to start? This is a quick course on a beginner's guide of how to record good audio. So today I'm just going to go over a few key points that will help you get clear audio when you are recording. Audio is important, so you just want to make sure that you follow these little tips to help you get clear audio when you're recording. So the first thing that you want to do is choose a quiet place to record. Now, if you are not going to be using any visuals and you're just recording the audio, then you can just go sit in your closet. It's going to be your best bet. Surprisingly enough, your closet, all your clothes have dampers, noise dampers or sound dampers. So then that way, when you are recording in your closet, it blocks all the noise. So then that way it creates a better audio recording environment. So sometimes if I'm just recording a voiceover or if I'm recording something where I just need like some sound, but I don't need visuals to go with it, I go in my closet and it makes the best place. There's no background noise, there's no echo. It is like the best place to record. So number one, find a quiet place to record. So the next step is you want to pick a simple microphone. If you find a good USB microphone like this, the Yeti, if you're recording stationary, this is great. You just plug it into your computer if you're recording from your computer or into your camera and then go. So it's going to pick up good audio. It's going to pick up nice and clear audio and you don't have to worry about holding anything. You just set it a little bit away from your mouth and then it'll pick up your voice and you're good to go. If you cannot record in a closet, then you want to find soft things to dampen the noise. So you can put blankets around you, pillows, anything that'll help stop. You want to put blankets around you, pillows, anything to help like muffle that noise. Even like if you're recording somewhere where there's hardwood floors and there's going to be echo, you can put a blanket on the floor and that'll help muffle the sound. So you want to find things to help break the echo. You also want to try sitting in different spots. So you can try sitting close to the mic, move back from the mic. Number one thing that I almost forgot is you always want to have headphones when you're recording audio. When you have headphones on, it helps make sure that you are hearing the feed that's coming through. You can monitor it and make sure that you know if somebody is peaking, which means they're speaking too loud into the mic, or if you can't hear them at all. And you can also hear if like something's rubbing against the mic. I know once I was recording a man speaking and his beard was rubbing against the mic and I did not have my headphones that day. So when I went back to listen to it, you just hear this rubbing sound, the whole audio. So you want to make sure that anything that you can fix when you're recording, you want to fix it at that time. Because I know some people's idea is I can fix it in post, but why create all of that extra work for yourself when it's like a 4-second fix in the moment of recording? So I would say make sure you have headphones plugged in to make sure that you can hear what is being recorded, what's picking up, and your levels are good, so you don't have to do as much work in the back end. So this goes for if you're recording yourself or if you're recording somebody else, you want them to speak naturally. You want them to talk natural. I have done tons of interviews, and one thing that happens as soon as you hit record, people turn weird. They turn into robots, they start acting stiff. So you want to act natural when you're in front of the camera. Just pretend like the camera's your friend. You're talking to them, you're telling them what's going on. Hey, this is what's doing. So you want to be natural when you're talking in front of the camera. You don't want to like be weird or stiff. And if you're interviewing somebody on camera, talk to them for a little bit. Like have your camera set up, talk to them for a little bit, and then go into your interview. Don't just like shoot right into your interview. You'll get a more natural sounding person when it comes time to recording, and it'll make it easier. So make sure you or your subject, you want to make sure you're natural in front of the camera. You want to, the next step is you want to save your editing, You want to save your recording files in an easy way to record. Again, this is if you're just doing the audio. You want to save it in an MP3 file or a WAV file, so that way you know that that is audio. If you're in Audition and you're making audio, if you save it in an MP3, then that's like an audio file that you can go and drop and use anywhere. And then when it comes time to editing, once you go and edit your audio, you want to make sure you cut out any long pauses, any ums or filler words. And when you are editing, you want to make sure that you don't cut off words of what the person is saying. So you want to make sure you make it all the way past their word, then do your cut. Don't cut off the ends of people's words. You also want to make sure that the microphone is not too close to the person's mouth, so then that way it's not like they're screaming on the mic, or you don't get all those sounds and like all that noise. So those are there. And then the last thing is practice makes perfect. So practice recording audios, different audio situations. Maybe if you're cooking and you want to try and get some ASMR sounds, you can put your mic close to your sizzling bacon, or you frying the eggs, or if you just want to practice talking in front of the camera. Believe it or not, it is harder to talk in front of the camera when you first get started than you may think. So sometimes it's best to just practice telling a story that you may want to remember. So you mic yourself up and you just practice talking in front of the camera. So then that way it becomes second nature talking in front of the camera and not having like, because you don't get feedback from a camera. It's just a lens looking at you. But you have to pretend like somebody's on the other side laughing at your jokes. So practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect is what my dad used to say. So practice, keep practicing, listen back to like your audio that you're recording, and then if there's issues, make adjustments, so then that way you can constantly get better. So that is the end of my how to record beginner's guide. Again, this is just basic information that's entry level, nothing complicated. So you want to find a simple mic to use, which this is a simple one if you're just recording like stationary audio. You can also use a lav mic, which I'm going to go into detail about the different types of mics and where to use them. You want to make sure that you find a quiet place to record where there's not a lot of background noise. Closet makes a great audio recording studio, and you just want to keep practicing. So find reasons to practice, and keep getting better at it. So if you have any questions or anything else that you would like for me to cover, just let me know in the comments. I am a video production teacher, and I'm just trying to share the knowledge that I have in this brain with others. So thank you. All right, we got video number 2 down. So now we got 2 videos down. Of course, the editing process is another long thing. There's nobody in there. Video number 3. Let me get this set up. Okay. Like I said, all of my recordings today are all about audio. Over 70%. Over 70% of. Okay. Over 70% of can't get it today. Over 70% of beginners fall into these. It's like a tongue twister. Over 70% of beginner recorders fall into these audio recording errors. Over 70% of beginner audio recorders fall into one of these errors. Don't be one of them. So audio recording is very important when it comes to making sure that people can hear what you're saying. So not using a lot of audio. When creating content, you want to make sure that your audio is strong. You want to make sure that people can hear you, people can understand you. Not having good audio is like one of the main reasons that people will click and go to the next recording. Or next video. So you want to make sure that your audio is good. So over this video, I'm going to tell you some of the mistakes that people make when it comes to audio recording, so you can make sure that you're not one of the people. You don't want to be a culprit. So the first thing is not using a quality microphone. Some microphones can give lots of background noise if they're not like quality enough. So you want to make sure that you have a good microphone when it comes to recording clear audio. The second thing is recording in a noisy place. If you're recording in a noisy space, it's going to pick up all of that noise going on around you. Right now, I'm sitting at my dining room table because I haven't got my office set up yet. That's like a thing in the future to get that set up. But for now, I got to work with what I have. If I'm recording here and somebody was cooking at the kitchen, somebody was watching TV, it'd be very noisy going on in here. So then that way you wouldn't hear what I'm saying and it would be distracting. So you want to make sure that you record in a non-noisy place. Another issue that people have are either standing too close. Another issue that people have are standing too close or too far from the mic. Now, I see a lot of people using these mics and holding them up to their mouth like they're little mini microphones. They're not. They're meant to like go on your lavalier. It's a lavalier mic, so it's meant to go here. It's not meant to be up close to your mouth. So if you have it too close to your mouth, it's going to like pick up extra things that you wouldn't want. That's why if you put a little fuzzy, I don't know if you can see that, but if you put a microphone screen on it, it'll help block the sound. But if your mic is too close to you, then it's going to be like, if I'm talking close into the mic, it's going to pick up like this, and nobody wants to hear that. And if you have it too far, it's going to not pick up everything, and it's going to pick up an echo, it's going to sound distant. So you want to make sure you have the mic the right distance away. So if you think of like the lavalier mics are meant to go on your collar or on your shirt, so you want to have it this distance away. If you're using a USB microphone, you want to have it about 3 feet away from your mouth. That's like a good distance. So you want to keep that in mind when you are setting up your microphone. That's why it's important to have a good set of headphones plugged in so you can always hear the level that your microphone is. Oh, no. It stomped on me. I gotta do a different SD card. My SD card just ran out. All right, sorry, my SD card stopped, so I've got to change out my SD card and then I will get back to recording. I'm trying to see if I can get 5 videos recorded in one day. All right, got my Camera set back up. Hopefully all of my settings are still good. All right. There we go. So yes, you want to make sure you have a good set of headphones when it comes time to recording. The worst thing is, and this happened to me a couple of times, I did not have headphones on me, which now I keep a set of headphones in all of my different, at least, and they don't have to be expensive headphones, but I keep a set of like inexpensive headphones in all of my camera bags. So that way, no matter what, I have headphones, and I keep a set in my car in case I don't have my bag with me. But these are like my favorite. They were like cushiony and great. But you want to have headphones with you to make sure you're monitoring your audio levels. You want to make sure that you hear it. I've had some times where I didn't have my headphones with me and my mic was messed up and I had no audio recording. So then you have to go back and schedule to do that recording again. So headphones are crucial. Not checking your audio levels. So if you're not checking your audio levels on your phone, on your computer, whatever you happen to be recording, then you don't know what's happening. So you want your audio levels to be in the green, like usually it has green, and then when it goes into yellow, that means you're coming close to being a little too loud. And when it's in the red, you're peaking, which it's gonna sound like, I know you know that sound where somebody's like screaming into the microphone. You don't want that sound. There's no way of auto, like saving and fixing that. So you wanna make sure that you fix it beforehand because you don't want to be stuck with that afterwards. And if your levels are like way too low, then your audio is going to be really quiet. So you want to make sure that you're looking at your audio levels. And that's an easy way to make sure that what you're recording is recording. So on your camera, it'll be like a little line and it'll be like the bars going up and down as you make sounds, which is why people usually go test into the microphone to make sure that it's moving up and down. On your phone, there's a recording, the Memos app in the iPhone. You'll see that it's all red, but it goes across. You just want to make sure it's not hitting like all the way to the end. And if you record an audition in your computer, like just say you're just getting audio, then it has like your levels again where it's green is good, yellow is concerning, and red you want to go and adjust those levels. So you want to make sure that you're not a person that falls into the problem of not checking your audio levels. Another thing that people may have is ignoring the acoustics in a room. So if there's a big echo in a room, you want to be aware of that. You may want to try and find a different room to record in. Don't just think, I'm going to push through. Find a different room to record in because that playback or that echo is going to be annoying when it comes time to editing. And my motto is fix it ahead of time instead of thinking I can fix it in post. A 5-minute fix in the beginning is way better than a 2-hour edit fix later on. So always try and fix everything you can in the beginning part, so then that way you have less work to do on the end. I'm a work smarter, not harder type of girl. Another issue can be if you're talking too fast or too quiet or not loud enough. So you want to do a test recording and make sure that you get a good speaking cadence and a good volume to talk in, and then go from there. Because you don't want to spend it takes forever just to get started to record a video. So once you record it and you put all the energy into it, you don't want to find that your work is all messed up, so you've got to do it all again. So make sure you do a test recording and find out the right volume that you need to speak, the right cadence to speak. Sometimes it's better to talk slower, and then people can put your video on 2 times if they feel like you're talking too slow. So you want to keep those things in mind. Another issue people may have is not saving multiple copies. So immediately after I'm done with recording, I have this big hard drive, external hard drive that I save all of my files to. So I will save everything there. Then when I am working on a project on my computer, I move it to the computer, work on that file, make a folder, and then I move it back. So you want to make sure you have multiple copies of your file saved, because if something happens to one or a device that you may have the file on, you still have a backup. So I always keep a backup of all of my files, and then I may go back and use them if something happens. The next thing is that you don't want to do is using poor editing. The The next thing that you don't want to do is using poor editing skills. So you want to make sure when you do edit, you take out all of the non-fluencies. I'm also a public speaking teacher, or like verbal, like and like you want to take those out because it helps make a smoother story that you're telling. But when you do that, you want to make sure you don't cut off the ends of words. So don't cut words, don't cut the beginning of words, don't cut the end of words, because that'll be poor audio editing and people aren't going to like that. So you want to make sure that you leave the whole word in there. If you have somebody that speaks in a slower cadence, about the cadence that I'm speaking now, it makes it a whole lot easier to edit and cut between those words and make it sound natural. Now, if you have a person that runs their words together, again, fix it when you're recording it. When you're recording it, if you notice that they're running their words together, it's okay to say, hey, can you pause and redo that sentence and just say it a little bit slower? Because it'll make your life a whole heck of a lot easier than you trying to find when's the best spot to cut between those two words and it not coming off natural. So when you're interviewing somebody, if there's a sentence that you feel like maybe run together or may need to be said a little bit clearer, it's okay to stop the person and ask them, hey, can you restate that sentence? Can you say it one more time and just say it a little bit slower? Again, fixing it pre-recording or while you're recording is going to be a lot easier than trying to fix it in post. And the last issue or the problem that rookies make or beginner recorders make is not listening to their full recording back. When you are interviewing somebody, you want to make sure you listen to all of it. You may have like a good part here, a good part there. You don't want to miss any of your recordings. So you want to make sure that you listen to all of it, play it back, so in that way you can know like what the good parts are and edit it in the best arrangement. And you can fix bad parts. So that is my tips for not making rookie mistakes when it comes to audio recording. You want to make sure that you find a quiet space. You want to make sure that the microphone is not too close, not too far away from your mouth. You want to pick a good microphone. Now, to start out, I went through quite a few duds. So you get what you can afford, I understand. So I went through some cheap equipment and it would like break after a few months. So then I started saving up and buying better quality equipment. So you want to make sure you get quality equipment. If nothing else, look at the reviews when you're buying stuff. You want to make sure that you're getting lasting equipment. And then the last thing, make sure you listen back to your full recording so that way you can fix anything. Don't just record a podcast and then be like, boom, it's ready, and then you put it out there and not listen to what it sounds like. It could be halfway through your mic messes up and it starts doing crazy things. And my number one thing, always have a good pair of headphones. So you want to make sure you have a good pair of headphones whenever you are recording, because you want to listen to that level and don't just go by your eyes on the audio levels, but also have headphones to listen as well. So if you have your headphones and you're seeing the audio levels move, then you know you're on the right track for your audio. So that is all that I have for this video. If you have any questions, then let me know in the comments and I'm here to help. So thank you. All right, that's video number 3 down. I think I have 2 more to go. My goal is to shoot 5 videos today. Uh-oh, my phone's gonna die. So the next one is, oops, not in there. Beginner friendly audio production. Beginner's guide to audio recording. Okay, so this is my long one. This is my long one. All right. Hopefully I have enough battery to get through this. I gotta get through this. I gotta get through this. Oh wait, can't do that. All right, this is probably my last video. Oh wait, no it won't. Hello, this is my beginner's guide. This is my beginner's guide to recording. This is my beginner's guide to recording. Everything from using what you have to like what is the good equipment that you should get when you're looking at upping your recording game. Most people may think, why does recording matter anyways? Is it even that big of a deal? Can I just talk into my phone and that's good enough? Well, the truth is, with the rise of podcasters, YouTubers, content creators, UGC, there's a lot of people that are out there creating videos. 80% of most successful content creators start with simple gear. So with the rise of podcasters, YouTubers, content creators, UGC creators, 80% of successful content creators start with simple gear, meaning they use what they have. So not everybody starts out with this top of the line gear. So I'm gonna help show like progression of like where you can start, middle of the road, and then if you're ready to like go out there and get that high end stuff. So this is just like a guide to help you know, depending on what level you are on your audio recording journey, like what you can use. So basically, you don't always have to have professional gear or the top of the line stuff. You can achieve quite a bit of good work with just using what you have. So first off, why does audio even matter? So if you think about it, most people don't think about audio. Like audio is not like the sexy thing of making videos. It's not like the, ooh, did you hear the audio in that latest movie? Usually people focus on the graphics. It's like, did you see the graphics in that? Did you see the cinematography in that movie? But nobody, every now and then people talk about it has a great score, but they're not like going into like, oh man, did you hear, you could hear the people talking in the movie. So that's usually not something that people focus on, but it's a big part of the movie. It's a big part of anything. Audio is how you connect with, like how you connect with your audience. It's also how the story is told. It helps create emotional development. So there's a lot that goes with audio, but it's something that we don't think about. Everybody just automatically assumes that good audio is going to be there. If you think of, there's certain movies that have like not as good audio that come to people's mind. I know Tenet was one that a lot of people complain, but the artist or the director, he wanted to create a natural, like what audio would be like naturally if you're in that environment. So a lot of people complained that the dialect of the actors was not loud enough and it became muddled and it was hard to hear. So you want to keep that in mind because if the audio is bad, then it's not as enjoyable. I know in Transformers, they took out the sound of the robots changing from one to the other, that sound, and people complained and they did not like that episode of, or that movie, like that Transformers movie. So something as simple as audio makes a big difference when it comes to how viewers perceive your video. The more natural sounds that you have in your video, the better, because people are going, it's going to put them more in that story. So audio plays a big part when it comes to making videos. If I know me personally, if I can't hear what you are saying, I am quick to move on to the next thing. If it sounds muffled or if you are screaming in me and it's hurting my ears, I'm moving on to the next thing. But if the visuals are bad, people are more likely to watch a video with bad visuals, but bad audio, people are quick to move on to the next because audio is the main reason that you tell the story. If there's not visuals there, you can still kind of put, your mind can make up something. But if the audio is bad, your mind isn't going to try and put that together. It's like, done, click to the next, swipe. You don't want people swiping on your videos because you have bad audio. So you want to make sure that you have good audio in your videos. So the first thing that you want to do when it comes to getting good audio is understand your recording environment. Yeah. First thing you want to do is understand your recording environment. You want to think about where is it you're going to be recording. If you're going to be recording a podcast, you're going to be sitting in one spot. So a USB mic would be what you need. Or you can use a Zoom, which is a handheld recording device. And you want to make sure if you use one of these, you get a tripod for the bottom. So then that way you're not touching it, because you may not think so, but when you're touching it, you're picking up sounds. Like if I were to rub this mic, you're picking up sounds, so you want to have a little, set it and not have your hands on it. So this is another type of recording device that you can use. This is great if you're just going to be recording the audio, but you don't need to have any visuals. So if you're going to be recording a podcast, these come in handy. I've also used these if I'm recording somewhere where I'm recording a play and they don't have all of the actors mic'd in. I may have a couple of these placed on the stage so I can pick up the audio of the actors, and then you can take this audio from here and sync it to your video later on. So these working great. They don't have to be plugged into anything. It's just this. You turn it on and it records all the sound around it. You can do a wireless mic if you're going to be on the go or moving around. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these in like TikTok videos or YouTube videos. People hold these like they're mics and they talk into them. You can strap it on your shirt, but these are great for if you're on the go, and say if you want to be further away from the camera, you can move any distance. It's a wireless lav mic. They also have this adapter where you can like slide this in. Gotta take it apart, but there it goes. Slide this in and you have like an actual microphone. So if you want a microphone, like if you're doing like a word on the street type of thing where you go and ask people random questions on the street, or if you want an actual microphone instead of like holding this little thing, they have an adapter where you can like plug your mic in. Now these are Rode products. How you set these up also make a difference. So if you're using this, it has two pieces. I can't show you the other one right now because it's actually plugged into my camera, but you have one which is the mic, and then you have the other part that's the receiver that goes into your camera. So they have an all red cord. That one goes into your camera if you're recording through your camera. If you're going to record through your, sorry, my things are running away. If you're going to record through your phone, then you want to use this adapter because this is what's going to help make sure that your mic picks up in your phone. And if you're going to plug it into your computer, say you're going to be sitting stationary and you're going to be recording a podcast, then you're going to use this one, the Type-C to the USB, to go into your computer. So that's if you're using a wireless lav mic. Then we have, when you're starting out, this was like my Old Faithful that I used all the time to record. Again, if the person's not going to be doing a lot of moving, then these work great. I use these all the time for interviews. I will say have them run it under their shirt so you don't have wires dangling everywhere. But it's a wired lav mic. It's more cost efficient than buying just a wireless mic. They do have an adapter so you can plug it into your phone, so you can use this with your phone. You can use it with your camera. So it's very versatile. The only problem is you're stuck on a wire. They do have a extender so you can extend it further. So those are the different types of mics that you'll use in different environments. So you want to make sure you know the environment that you are recording in. So you want to make sure you're aware of like, what is the purpose of my recording? What kind of environment am I going to be recording in? Let me pick the right mic. If you're going to be running all over the place and like moving and showing yourself doing stuff, you don't want to get a Yeti microphone. If you are going to be wanting to get like doing flips and stuff, I don't know, if you're doing like catching an acrobat, doing flips and things like that, you don't want a wired mic. Or if you're going on roller coasters and you want to catch your first point of view, again, you don't want a wired mic. So keep that in mind, what kind of mic you want. Then the second part you want to do is access your sound conditions. Whenever you're recording an environment, you want to record about like 10 to 15 seconds of just the sound of the room. This will help when you're in post. You can take that audio sound and put that in there and have that footprint or that digital print removed from your video when you're doing it. So say if it's like a hum from your air conditioner or your fan is going, you want to take in consideration all the different sounds that are going on. Your ears, you can only focus on so many things. So your ears naturally tune out a lot of sounds that are going on around you. But a microphone is not like that. It's gonna pick up everything. So you wanna make sure that you're aware of the sounds that are in the room. So if you like take time and really focus on it, then you'll be able to pick up the different sounds, and you wanna try and like work with getting rid of those sounds before you start recording. You want to set realistic expectations. Like there are some podcasters which their audio recordings sound smooth as butter. I love listening to them. You're not going to get there overnight. They have like years of experience that they put in, that lots of work that they put in trying to get those that audio just right. So you want to make sure that you set your expectations. Now, if you're recording with your phone, it's not going to be the same quality as recording with this Yeti. And then there are mics that are like higher level than the Yeti. Again, like set your expectations. So don't go in it thinking like, I'm going to sound like this is like the morning radio DJ. And then you're shocked and you're like, what happened? So you want to set your expectations. Start with where you are. If you're using your phone, then just make sure you have your phone the correct distance from you, and you check your audio levels and all of that stuff, and then progress. So say the next thing you can get is a wired lav mic. So then you move to the wired lav mic. And then after that, you've saved up enough, you can get the wireless mic. Say you want to get an H1 Zoom, or say you're ready for this, or there's other things out there. So don't think that you gotta buy the best gear to do whatever, but also set your expectations to know that you're gonna slowly grow over time. So you wanna, use what you already have. Again, utilize, your computer can record audio, your phone can record audio. So if you're not ready to go out there and buy that gear, utilize what you have. You'd be surprised what you can do if you just learn how to use what you have. Again, it's not the gear that you have sometimes, it's what's behind the gear. So one thing that I was always taught is, it's not the camera, it's what's behind the camera. Because yes, I have a nice camera that I use, especially if I'm doing pictures. The amount of times I've given my camera to somebody and say, hey, can you get a picture of me? And it's blurry, it's all messed up, because they don't know how to use it. So I would say whatever it is that you have, make sure you know how to use it. But my camera's gonna die, it's battery. Time to switch out cameras. Batteries. Anybody on live or not? If you're there, now I'm switching out my batteries, so I'll be back in a second. I hope you're getting something out of these lives, if anybody is in there. Oh. Nope. Nobody's in there. I did come back. Oh, I'm gonna get my shots up. All right. Bring that up. Okay. Let's see. Oh. Come on. There we go. All right. Oh, I forgot to hit record. And if you are in the live, I will have the polished version of these videos that you can watch. You can go back and watch them. So this is just the behind the scenes of like what goes on when you're recording. It's not all glitz and glam. So, where was I? So some things that you want to do is you want to recognize when it's time to upgrade. So if your audience is constantly complaining about certain quality, or you realize that you have grown out of it, like you've maxed how to use it, that may mean time. That may show you times that it's time to upgrade. So you want to be aware of those signs. So when it comes to beginner's guide to equipment, you want to make sure that you set your expectations, adjust them accordingly. You want to make sure you have the right mic for the right environment or the right project. You don't want to have like the wrong type of equipment. So you want to make sure you have the right equipment for the right project. And know when it's time to upgrade. You don't have to start out with the biggest and the best. 80% of content creators start out with using what they have. So get good with what you have, slowly upgrade as you need it, and you'll see over time, you'll be creating really amazing content. So that is all I have for you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'm just here to help. All right. So now, I just have the other videos almost there. Hello, thanks for the comment. All right, so the next thing is going to be about that. First, let me get these two things set up. So when you are making videos, research is crucial. So I did lots of keyword research. I put my scripts together because it's better to know what you're going to say instead of just rambling. Because if you're just rambling, nobody's going to listen to you. So you want to make sure that you know what you're going to say. Script writing is like one of the hardest things, but it gets easier as you go. So now I'm going to do an instructional video about each piece of equipment. So I'm going to move the other stuff out from in front of me so it's not distracting. That goes with that. And I just have the, oopsies, dropped it in here. So now it's time for the next video. All right, hopefully it picks up on my face. Get me, get me, get me. Oh, I got it over my eye. All right, got that set up. All right. Hello, today we're going to talk about the Blue Yeti microphone. I'm going to go in all from the basics of, I'm going to dive into how to set it up, to like what it's best used for, some of the key pros and cons. So I'm just going to go into a little bit about the Blue Yeti microphone, and maybe like you may think you need this. So if you think you need it, I'm going to tell you like what it's used for. So in that way, hopefully it can give you some feedback and let you know if this is something that you need or if you need a different type of microphone. So first, it's with the setup. When you unbox it, you will get a wire that is right here, like a USB wire. You'll get the microphone itself, and then you'll get this sturdy stand that you can adjust where you want it to go, and you tighten the screws on the side to adjust it where it wants to go. It has knobs on the front for the gain levels and for the pattern that you'll be speaking in. Over here, it has a mute button, so if you need to mute it, and for you to control your headphone volume. So you don't want to confuse your headphone volume with the gain volume when you're recording, because that'd be horrible if the gain was turned all the way up, but your headphones were turned down. So you're thinking you're adjusting the gain, which controls your recording volume, versus your headphone volume. So you want to make sure that you're controlling the right one when it comes time to adjusting it so you can hear. The USB or your cord wire plugs right in the bottom, and then your USB part plugs into your computer. That's how you get the So you may be wondering, who is this mic for? Who needs this mic? So this mic has different patterns on it. So you have one setup that captures what's in front of it. So it's ideal for solo vocals. So if you're doing gaming or streaming and it's just one audio that you're picking up, then you'll have it set on the solo pattern where it's just capturing what comes in front. Then it has the 360 pickup, which picks up for all around. So that would be good if you were doing round tables. You can set it up where it's picking that up. So you would put it here and it would pick up everybody around the table's voice. So if you're doing a round table, if you're doing a podcast with multiple people talking, that's where it comes in handy. So you don't have to get like multiple mics pointing at each person. It's going to do a 360 all the way around the microphone, picking up the voice. Then you have the front and back, which is good for interviews. So you can set it where it picks up the front and the back of the microphone. So it'll just pick up these two sides. So if I had somebody sitting in front of me and I was doing an interview, then I would talk on one side, they would talk on the other side, and it would pick up both of our voices. And then the last one is stereo, which is right to left. That's good for ASMR or ambient sounds. If you're cooking and you had this by your cooking stuff, you want to pick up the right and left. So that way it play in both sides of the ears in headphones or both speakers. I don't know if you've ever heard where the audio only played on one side and it sounded weird. So you want to make sure that you have like the right setting. So that when it asks for patterns, those are the different patterns that it has set up that you can record in. So some of the pros of this microphone are the price. It's a good price point for entry level. If you're going to start a podcast, you don't need a camera. Well, you could, because YouTube is actually one of the most streamed podcasting places. But if you're just starting out and you're only recording audio, this is great. You only need this as your equipment and your computer, and you're good to go. So it's a good entry level price point for a microphone that's not going to cost an arm and a leg. It's got a solid build for the body. Like this is pretty sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's gonna fall over easily. So that's another pro is it's got like a really sturdy build of this microphone. So it's like really good and sturdy. It has the versatile patterns, so you can set it for the different recording patterns. So that's like a thing that's really nice. You can use it for everybody at the table, or you can just have it for 2 people, or you can just have it on yourself. So you don't need multiple microphones. So that comes in handy with setting those different patterns on the microphone. And can't help that it's just plug and play. You plug it in, you're good to go. So it's not a lot of hassle, not a lot of setup. This is something easy to use. So that is a big plus as well. Some of the cons for this microphone, it could be too sensitive. So it could pick up noise too easily, meaning that you're getting too much noise. So you want to keep that in mind. And you may need to make sure that you set your gain a little bit lower. Loose knobs, some people have complained that the knobs may be a little bit loose, but I feel like, to me, they're pretty good. The USB might have like a slight delay, which that'd be more if you're live streaming. If you're recording, it should be fine. There's no XLR output. So that can be a downfall if you really need that. You may need to go up in a more expensive mic. Like if you go get the Yeti Pro, that one has one, so that's the downfall for this one. And it needs pro processing. So you may have to cut the gain when you are in post-processing. So those are the pros and cons of this microphone. All in all, it's still a really good microphone though. It's a good entry-level beginner microphone. There's not a lot to it. You don't have to have some expensive mic setup. It comes with its own stand. It naturally, if you're recording at a table, is the distance that you need it to be from your mouth. It can look cool in videos if you're sitting here doing a podcast. So it's a good microphone. So tips for the best results when using this microphone. You want to use the single person pattern when it's just you recording. This helps, and you want to place it close to your mouth, lower the gain, so then that way it helps reduce any echo that may be there. You want to add acoustic foam or blankets to dampen the noise in the room around you, or you can record in your closet if you're not needing the or visuals. You can record in your closet. That's like a natural noise dampener. Use a pop-up filter or something to shock mount to resist or to reduce the desk noise. So there's the screens that you can put up that'll help reduce the noise that comes into the microphone. So if it's picking up like your desk, your pen moving, your keyboard typing, you can use a screen to like block that sound. You want to monitor your headphones. Always have good headphones. Monitor your audio levels to make sure that your audio level is good. And that is like some tips. You want to monitor your audio levels with a headphone to make sure your audio levels are good. Always have good headphones. And then who should buy this microphone? So I would say this is a good investment for content creators and live streamers who want a minimal sound setup. Like I said, this is it. You got your stand, you got your mic, you got your plug that goes into your computer. So minimum setup. It's great for podcasters, if you're doing voiceovers, if you're doing live streaming, if you're working in a moderately quiet space. It's not ideal for somebody that needs ultra low latency or professional XLR setups. So in conclusion, the Blue Yeti is a great starter mic. It's versatile, it's easy to set up, it's got a solid build. Just manage your room around you. Make sure you're aware of the sounds that are in the room. You may have to do a bit of post-processing to like get rid of any extra sounds that may pick up, and you'll sound great on stream or in a podcast or in videos. And if you want more mic comparison tips, just hit subscribe. Right now I'm doing a deep dive into microphones, but eventually I'll go into other camera gear. This was just like the easiest thing to start because I feel like sound is the most important part of your video. If people can't hear you, then they won't watch or listen to your content. I have switched off of many podcasts because I couldn't hear the person talking. So make sure you have a good mic setup. Ooh, there's another one down. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. That was an hour. All right, I'm going to end this. Flip it. I'm going to end this. Again, this is just me live streaming behind the scenes of me creating videos for YouTube. So, hi, Anderson. I don't know when you said hi, but yeah, that's all. I hope you enjoyed it. If anybody watched it, thanks.